Good afternoon and welcome to CSL on the Lake. Let us join together in consciousness as we begin our afternoon service. As I quiet my mind and open my heart, what I know in this moment is that something marvelous is happening, that there's a shift in consciousness that expands my awareness and understanding of life. And I breathe into that. And I'm filled and fueled with this knowing that there is only one power in the universe, one infinite creative intelligence, one energy of love and light, and it is fully present and available in and through me now and always. So I'm grateful for the life that I'm living, the journey that I walk. I'm grateful for peace of mind and comfort in all that I do. I'm grateful for peace in our world and in our time. And I'm grateful for a journey that is fulfilling and satisfying. So filled with love, peace, and joy, I release these ideas into the law of mind action. Knowing it is done, I let it be. And so it is. Well, the talk today is on peace, and I consider the work that we do kind of that bridge over troubled water. It's that way of navigating the current realities of the world and beginning to reshape our consciousness so that we are part of the solution. And I think that's the big journey that we're on, is finding our way to a place of peace amidst all the things that are going on at the moment. The world appears to be highly troubled, and there's lots of areas where it seems like anger is kind of the natural setting that people go to, at least in cars, or at least that's my experience here in Toronto, is that a lot of the automobile traffic, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. And I wonder if part of it comes from the fear that's going on, that's kind of underlying the belly of all that's going on in the world right now. And probably something like that is the case. So today I wanted to talk about the idea of peace, because when we think of peace, it's one of those concepts that's great to talk about, but how do we nail it down? How do we actually do it? What is required to move from that place of annoyance or frustration, anger, the ideas of separation, of fear that keep us apart from one another, to really being that bridge, being that bridge to understanding, that bridge to discovery or curiosity or finding out about each other. Because I think peace happens not because there isn't a challenge anywhere in the world, it's about how I choose to deal with it. And if I can come to each experience with an open mind and a loving heart, what happens is already that begins to shift the energy of whatever's going on. Now, I'm working on the one in the traffic. I'll be honest, I haven't got there yet. I'm watching people do very remarkable things that I've never seen before out of impatience. And they're things that could cause really horrible accidents. I haven't seen any of those as yet, but I mean, I had a guy get mad at me because I cut him off. Not sure that I did, but he threw a pop bottle at the back of my car and hit it. Like, it's weird stuff. I've never seen anybody get that angry over being cut off, but I'm sure some people have. The energy that we're looking for to create something new requires that each one of us come to terms with our own life, our own reality, and then from that place, bring that positive, productive energy into the world around us. So when we're looking at our lives, let us really take a look. Am I annoyed and frustrated by the little things? Am I getting upset because a cupboard door is open, or somebody leaves, some food out and doesn't put it away, or, my dog is barking loud all the time? Well, that's my dog. Whatever's going on, my neighbor did something, or somebody said something that hurt a feeling I have, or there's so many little ways that we get irritated and annoyed. But I think we need to check in with that. The idea of peace is really about coming to a place in my own mind where I can live in a more relaxed, harmonious state, regardless of the events that are happening around me in the world. So by doing that, I actually treat things differently and I treat people differently. Now, I'm not 100% perfect all the time. I'm sure you're not either, but what we're doing is we're striving to be what it is we say we want in the world. If we want a peaceful world, then each of us individually must stop reacting, overreacting, exploding at little things, and just notice when we're getting a little bit off kilter, and then return ourselves by going, okay, let me just take a breath. Let me just take a breath. Let me just pause for a moment before I respond. Let me just center myself in this now moment and then respond from there. So the journey that we're on is really about waking up to who we really are. We are spiritual beings and we're having a human experience. Now, being spiritual is easy. The human part is a little more difficult. And so that's what we're trying to navigate, is how to become positive, productive people, moving us forward in a consciousness of oneness. And that requires that each one of us see each other as who we really are. There's a book out called The Little Soul and the Sun by Neale Donald Walsch. And what I love about that story is it's about a little soul having a conversation with God going, I want to experience forgiveness. It's like, wow, how great is that? And the little soul wants to come into a lifetime and have this lifetime. Well, we all know that if we're going to be experiencing forgiveness, there has to be something that we think we need to forgive. So we're setting ourselves up right from the start. What I love about that story, though, is we come to realize that every single person is part of that divine one. And because of that, everyone is created the same, in the sense that we are all some aspect of this God energy, or this universal energy, or this universal consciousness, this one mind, whatever you want to call it. There's one thing going on. We all live, move, and have our being in it. And because of that, everything we think, say, and do impacts the whole of it. This is the responsibility that we have. Not that I'm responsible for somebody else's behavior or actions, but I am responsible for my own. And how I choose to respond to any given situation, how I choose to separate or unite, is up to me. I get to choose, am I a bridge over the appearance of troubled water or the fact of troubled water, or am I the water itself? Am I mixing it up? Am I causing more chaos? What is it that I'm doing? If my words have power, if my thoughts have power, if I have been created in the image and likeness of the Creator, that means I am powerful. It means I'm part of the one, that I have the power, the strength, the ability to create, to do things that are interesting, positive, productive, and I get to form things through the thought patterns that I have, the words I speak, the thoughts I think. When we look at the science of mind teaching, we're talking about a principle. God is not a person in the sky, but rather a principle, something that always responds the same way. It is a principle, a scientific principle that always acts the same way. And basically, the way it acts is to say yes to that which I have accepted for myself. So if I'm sitting back with the idea that, I am a happy, powerful, productive individual, and I'm being the peace, and I'm going out and building bridges and bringing people together and doing stuff that's really positive, the universe is saying yes to that. If I'm sitting back going, I hate life, I hate the world, everything's broken and flawed, the universe is saying yes to that. The law is exact. It can only respond according to its nature, like any principle, right? So the principle of electricity, for example, has always existed. We didn't learn how to use it for a long time, but once we did, we could have lights, we could have computers running. We could also electrocute ourselves if we misuse it. So laws are very exact, whether they're physical laws or spiritual laws, they're very exact. They always operate the same way. They operate the same way for every person. So what is it that I need to do or to be in order to create a more peaceful world and sustain it? And the only thing I need to do is love myself enough to show up in my authentic realness and be willing to look at every other person I meet as someone who is showing up in their authentic realness, that they too have within them a divinity that is powerful, positive, and productive, just like mine. And so when we begin to greet each other with a willingness to discover, a willingness to open up to get to know each other better, what we start to do is dismantle the ideas of separation and we begin to unite. Peace can't happen as long as I fear my neighbor. Peace isn't happening as long as I hate somebody's actions. Peace doesn't happen as long as I believe that the world is broken and flawed. Peace happens when I work in my lane, when I go into my place and I choose to be peaceful regardless of circumstance. And what happens is the world begins to move in a new way. Consciousness creates everything, not some things, but all things. Now, I think the universe is calling us back to source, back to the divinity that each one of us has had all along. I think there's a creative potential within all of us that allows us to create and master this human experience. Doesn't mean everything's going to show up perfectly by what I think is nice, but rather life is going to show up perfectly in a way that propels me to my greatest authentic expression. I think we're always being pushed or pulled toward that one gift that we brought in that we're prepared to share, or maybe not prepared to share, but need to. So there's an energy that's constantly flowing and moving. And how are we going with it? Are we loving one another? Do we get into upset over things and then blame others? That idea of pointing fingers, of laying blame. We want to eliminate that, taking sides. Let's eliminate that. We can look at the things going on around the world. And if you sit down and have a conversation with somebody that is maybe in opposition to what you believe, if you will listen to them, not that you will become agreeable to what they say, but honoring and respecting differences of opinion is a positive step forward in creating a peaceful world. And a peaceful world begins with my peaceful life. And if enough of us choose it, then there's a quantum shift that occurs that allows for peace to happen. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen today or tomorrow. But why isn't it happening? I mean, think about it for a minute. Why do we not have peace? Well, we don't have peace in our families, right? We've got siblings who are angry with each other, who won't talk to each other. Well, how can we expect strangers in different countries with different languages and religions and different ideas about what's good and bad and right and wrong? How can we expect them to get along if we can't even get along with our siblings or our parents or our employers or our neighbors, right? I think we have to really look at taking responsibility for our own self first. That doesn't mean we don't do good stuff in the world. We absolutely do. But we begin by doing good stuff, loving stuff within ourselves, realizing the gifts that we have and being willing to give those to the world at this time, because we really are an essential service, so to say. It's like each one of us is bringing something to the universe right now that is essential to the unfolding of humanity at this time. And it's up to us to give it. And every one of us is unique. Yeah, we're all the same in that we're made of the same energy and we're unique expressions of that energy. So all of us have something that is unique to us. So we're all unique and special, like everybody else. So we're reframing our thinking. We're challenging the status quo. We're looking at the world the way it's been created and the way things are happening, and realizing some of it isn't working so well. I mean, whoever decided that going to war could achieve peace? I mean, I don't know if countries that are at war have that idea that somehow their world will be peaceful once they win. I don't know if that's what they're going for. But here's what I know is if somebody comes and kills my sibling, probably I'm going to be angry and want to go kill yours. So I don't think that's going to solve anything. I don't think fighting and shooting each other and bombing, I don't think those are the answers. What are the answers? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to peace is. All I know is for myself, I can choose to be peaceful moment by moment. I can choose to be peaceful in whatever's going on around me. I can choose to be peaceful in the midst of something that seems horrific. I can choose to look at it without laying blame, without taking sides. I can choose to look at it and then to go within myself and know that every single person has that divine nature. And that as we choose it, we begin to lift consciousness, not just in our life, but in life. Race consciousness is the collective consciousness. We're all thinking in and out of it. So if I'm angry all the time, that's the energy I'm putting into the collective, which means I'm sucking it down into the dregs. But if I want to be part of something different, something positive and beautiful and wonderful, then it's up to me to begin to live from a place of choices that are conscious. I'm going to be that bridge over the troubled water. I'm going to be that bridge to a new idea. I'm beginning to see in my own mind that it's possible to create a peaceful, harmonious world. But that only happens when each one of us chooses it. Make sense? We all have to choose it because it's going to reflect whatever we put into it. And if we're putting in our anger and our frustration, then that's what's going to grow, which is what we've been doing for many, many, many years, fighting with each other over and over again, fighting for wealth, fighting for land, fighting for recognition, fighting. The world has been built on competition and a caste system. But what if we change that? What if we turn that on its head and go, wait a minute, what if each one of us chose to look at ourselves as powerful, positive, and remarkable beings here by divine appointment with something really remarkable to give into the world today? What if each and every one of us loved ourselves enough to really accept our accomplishments, to be excited by the gifts that we have and joyful in the work that we do? The minute we reframe everything and start to work in these new parameters, we begin to create something that's rich, that is transformative. We begin to create a world that could be very different. And when we look at the many teachers who have taught about the law of attraction and the spiritual laws of the universe, what we know is that this energy that everything is, there's only one thing, it's just energy. That energy responds to thought. It moves that way. That's how it moves into form. So what I'm thinking about and what I'm focusing on actually is having an impact on everything. So where am I? What am I thinking about? What is my focus? And each one of us gets to choose that. And when we remember that we are being pulled or pushed to a new reality. I mean, think about the chaos in the world right now. We are being interrupted moment by moment because it's time to choose a new way of being. It can't only be me, 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 me. It has to be the collective we. There has to be a willingness to accept each person as they are for who they are without wanting them to be exactly like me. Like, we need to stay in our lane. My life is moving along a certain trajectory, and I can control that to a degree. What I can control is how I think about the life I'm living. That's the power we have. How do I think about my life today as it is? Do I think it's broken and flawed? Do I think it needs to be fixed? Am I frustrated and annoyed with it? If that's what I'm doing, if that's what's going on, that replicates. And because of that energy, the law of attraction is exact. It will bring back to me exactly that model. But as I begin to look at whatever's going on, again, nothing's changed, but now I look at the blessings in my life. I'm not looking at only the problem, I'm looking at the blessings. I'm looking at what I'm grateful for. And I'm allowing myself to dream about this new reality that I'm creating. I'm beginning to allow myself to be peaceful in the midst of chaos, to choose it, to take a breath, to pause for a moment. And in that pause, to simply ask the question, now what? Now what is mine to do? What can I do now that will actually move me forward and move the world forward in a new and more productive way? Mother Teresa would talk about not going to war rallies or protests or anything like that, but she would go to a peace rally. No anti-war stuff. And I'm in agreement. Anti anything is just focusing on the problem. And when whatever we focus on expands and grows. Whatever we focus on expands and grows. And we have a lot of proof of that. So let us shift our focus. Let us be that bridge over troubled water. Let us begin to bridge the gaps. Let us come together as one by acknowledging and recognizing each and every one of us as beautiful, powerful, remarkable, unique, and special. And then beginning with ourselves, to see ourselves that way, to love ourselves enough to be gentle with ourselves, and to move forward in joy. All right, so let us move into meditation. I invite you to just sit comfortably, put your feet flat on the floor, and let us just take a moment to pause. So I invite you to take a deep breath in. As you exhale, just feel your body relax in your chair. To just take the ideas that have been presented and allow them to simply drop, maybe from your logical mind into your heart center, just to feel the words. And does anything feel right to you? Are you ready to simply accept your place, your time with loving attention? I want you to repeat in your mind, life loves me. Life loves me. Life loves me just the way I am. Life loves me just the way I am. I love me. I love me just the way I am. It is in that place of self love that we find our greatest strength, our ability to be fully present. It is in that place of self love that we are able to be kind and loving with others. So repeat to yourself again, I love myself. As we anchor the idea of love deep in our hearts, allowing that energy of warmth and beauty, acceptance to permeate every cell, every thought. Peace is felt, body, mind, and soul. I invite you to take a deep breath in and really take this idea of self-love and really hold it close to your heart. And one more deep breath in. And as we move into this music, just allow it to carry you a little bit deeper and then bring you back.